Today we are going to compare Annie Sloan chalk paint and wax with DIY chalk paint and wax. I sell a lot of furniture that I paint and refinish, and I have used both of these products. I use mostly DIY chalk paint and DIY wax or wax hacks because of cost and availability. So let's put these two side by side, literally on this table, and see how they compare. I would normally take out the drawers before I paint, but for the purpose of this video, so you can see what I'm doing, I'm going to leave them in and then come back and do the edges. So it's a DIY paint. It's a little bit thick. This is made with Valspar, which I like a lot for making DIY paint. So let's see how this goes on. I don't use chalk paint brushes because of the cost and because they are heavy. And I have some arthritis in my hands and carpal tunnel, so the lighter the weight and also the shorter the handle, the easier it is on my hands. I see I've crossed over into Annie Sloan land right there. I'm gonna have to clean that off. The coverage on this looks really, really good. It's hard to say if it will cover in one coat while it's still wet, but it's going to be awfully close. And now for the Annie Sloan. The consistency looks about the same. It feels smoother going on, like it goes on easier. I don't think that means it goes on faster. I just think it means it feels more silky when you put it on there. I'm an old school painter, so no matter what paint I'm using, I'm still going to paint with the grain. I know that Annie Sloan says do all this which way, but I don't like to paint like that, and I think that makes more sense if you're using a round Annie Sloan brush. Now I know these colors will be slightly off because I had the DIY paint matched at Lowe's to go with the Annie Sloan, so it won't be exact color match, but it will be pretty close. Both of these paints seem to go on the same, except for the Annie Sloan feeling a little silkier, but they go on with the same speed and they have about the same coverage. The first coat has dried on this, and I thought it may cover in one coat, but it looks like both paints almost covered it, but not quite. It's more obvious on the sides. The colors are going to be different. Once again, they are not the exact same color. They are close. This is the side that has the DIY paint. Definitely needs a second coat. And this is the side that has Annie Sloan on it. So the coverage seems about equal. Okay, I have a second coat of paint on here. Annie Sloan on the left and DIY paint on the right. You can see the right side is darker than the left side, and it still will be darker after we do the wax. I'm going to brush this wax on. Even Annie Sloan says you don't need a wax brush for wax. I just saw that on one of her videos, but I wasn't using one anyway. She also says that wax will change the color of the paint, which shows here. This wax goes on easily. It is creamy, and it is also non-toxic. It's made with carnauba and beeswax and mineral oil. I have a recipe for this wax up on my channel. as well as the DIY chalk paint recipe that I am using. This is the Annie Sloan wax. This is also creamy like the other one. The big difference with this is that it smells like paint thinner. So it probably has some additives in there to keep it stable for shipping and storage. These are the final results. I think that both sides pretty much look the same. I really don't see much of a difference except the color. When I was applying the wax, I noticed that the Annie Sloan wax looked kind of white and the DIY wax looked more like it had an oil finish to it. But once I wiped those waxes away, the result looked almost identical. I love the Annie Sloan products, but I also make my own DIY products. Now let's look at the cost of the products. Annie Sloan would cost you $25 for the wax and $35 for a quart of paint. I know I didn't use a quart of paint for this project, but this was a small sample table, so anything larger than that you would need to get a quart. So that's $70 altogether. The DIY chalk paint cost about $5 a quart to make, and the wax cost about $5 to make for the same amount that you get in the Annie Sloan can. So you are looking at $70 versus $10 for quarts of paint in full-size containers of wax. I took the table outside to see if I can see anything else in the sun, and I actually did. The left side, the Annie Sloan side, has a lot more brush marks in it than the right side does. This could be good if you're doing a dark wax finish and you want a lot of different textures in the surface to show the dark wax. It also gives it a more authentic, aged appearance. It is possible that I did it somehow when I brushed on the paint. I think it's kind of unlikely since I used the same brushes and the same technique and pressure and everything on both sides. You could also say it looked more aged and vintage having brush marks in it, but just a note, there are some brush marks on the Annie Sloan side that are not on the DIY side. So that completes my video for today. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and check back often. I put up new videos all the time. Also, if there was a video you would like to see me do, leave me a message in the comments or send me a message and maybe I will do it. Thank you.